So students, whenever we prepare for any government exam, especially exams like regulatory bodies which have such low vacancies every year, sometimes because of the setbacks that we face, we often have this tendency to give up. We think that maybe this exam is not for me and maybe the hard work that I'm putting is not rewarding enough. So let me just give up. But when you are on the edge of giving up on such dream of yours, there are stories like that of Sumit Kumar Das's, which inspires us to continue despite having aspirant, despite having the challenges like he had faced multiple setbacks. This was his fourth attempt in NABARD Grade A examination. He has appeared twice in the interview before, but came in the merit list. So when you are continuously facing these setbacks, so at that moment to keep ourselves motivated, to keep ourselves going, still like despite facing the setbacks, to keep oneself enthusiastic enough, inspired enough is a very difficult thing to do. And at such times, stories like that of him inspires us. So on that note, let us begin our today's session. And here I'm going to discuss in detail that what was the strategy of Sumit Kumar Das, what were the changes that he made, and how he has finally achieved his goal, his success. So welcome Sumit Kumar Das, and I congratulate you on your success.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes. Sumit, first of all, I would like to ask you about yourself, your academic background, and what was your background in academics and what field you were working in. So kindly tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Sumit Kumar Das, and I am from the state of Assam. My education background is mechanical engineering in bachelor, and then I post-graduated in rural technology from IIT Guwahati. Post that, I've been working in multiple development organizations, especially linked to the rural development, livelihood, and government advocacy and consultancy. So for the last 6 years, I have been working in this sector. My works directly resembles with the NABARD works. Many of the works are directly linked with this, and this was one of the motivations for trying to work to prepare for the NABARD and uh, contribute to the prosperity of the rural development. Yeah.
Okay, so Smith, that was a very nice introduction, and that somewhere gives the student a link like what motivated you to join the NABARD, because your working life, it was directly related to the works of NABARD, and that is what inspired you to join this organization. So, since how long have you been preparing for this exam?
So this is my fourth attempt, and I've been preparing for the last 4.5 years for this exam.
Okay, so that has been your journey so far. So since you were a working aspirant, so how your day used to look like how you used to manage your studies along with your work life?
Yeah, so basically, some things I planned while working also. Some things like reading a newspaper while going to the office or seeing from your laptop. During the break time or during some relaxation time, we can read some PIB news like this. So because this exam directly links with the major things happening in the Indian context, especially current affairs and all. So reading newspaper or reading the PIB was important part. So I used to read those things whenever I get it time during the office hours or during the break time, especially. After coming from the office, I used to take a rest for an half an hours. Then I'd study till the time I like studying. Like I'm more devoted to study and I have quality time. Then sleeps and then the cycle repeats like this. So this was my strategy and time adjustment for my uh, this journey.
So basically, you have utilized whatever time was there with you instead of having fixed slot of hours. You were like, whatever time is coming, let me just give it to the exam.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There was no
All
fixed
right.
hours and fixed.
Now
Yeah.
let's talk about your strategy part. How Mhm. So now let's talk about your strategy part for each and every component. So first of all, I would like to ask you about the ARD part, because agriculture and rural development, it is a very important component from the phase one perspective also, and from the phase two perspective also. So how you used to cover the ARD, right? And what was your strategy for this part?
Yeah. For the ERD part, the prelims and mains both have the same syllabus. So for the ERD part, I used to follow some notes from different institutes, videos available in the internet, AI sometimes to understand critical concepts, especially because come from the non-agri background. So some of the critical areas of the AIT, I used to study in details to understand it in depth. So before the notifications comes, or after the notification times, I used to read in details. And along with this, I used to practice the mocks of the particular chapter-wise mocks before the main exam. And then based on these chapter-wise mocks, I used to revise whatever the concept that I am lacking. So this was the simple ARD strategy for me. Then for the ESI part, you mentioned main source was PIB. If you see previous year questions that has been asked by NABARD, so it is mostly related to the current happenings of the government schemes, programs linked to the economy and the social issues pertaining to children, women, elderly, and all those sectors which are very much critical to the rural economy. So those things, schemes, I used to read from the PIB, and then some schemes from the ARD part, agriculture related rural development schemes, I used to read from directly from the websites. So this helps me get better concepts from the time to time. And then again, the strategy to revise it is to give mocks. So mocks play a very important role for revision for me because of lack of time on this. So if you give mocks, what happen? You check your knowledge, like different type of questions that can come. You may know the whole concepts, but when you give mocks, yes. So when you give mocks, so it helps to retain those uh, important concepts, and then you can revise it again whatever concept you think you are likely to forget in the exam hall. So this was the strategy. First of all, understanding the core concepts, then with the concepts you give mocks chapter wise, and before the exam 10 days or 12 days you can give full length mocks also to get used to about your exam strategy, like how many marks it should could attempt, what are the questions that are becoming difficult or may skip in the main exam, because you cannot score 100 out of 100. So you need to clear by 60 plus. If you can get good marks, then you are gone through from the prelims, go through the prelims. So this was the basic strategy I used to follow.
Okay. So you have beautifully summarized your ARD, ESI, and the current affairs strategy. And most importantly, you have relied not just on studying part, but on revision and giving the mock tests, right? So that whatever you have prepared, you can plan and you can prepare its execution as well, right? So that was your basic strategy for these three areas. Now, I want to ask you that how have you prepared out of the 250 marks of the merit list? 150 marks are devoted to the descriptive only. So how have you prepared for that?
Yeah, so for the descriptive part, so we have English is the major scoring area where 100 marks is allotted. So for NABARD, the I used to focus the different English material or English descriptive answer which have been asked last previous years, different English questions that has been asked. So based on this, I used to follow my understanding, my concept building on this. And then I had to practice this through Notepad, which is available in every computer. So for the descriptive writing, I used to follow the strategy for English part, if you go through it. So it is plays a major role in the final selection. So for English part, I used to practice it in the notepad. Take any questions from the previous years, whatever the questions that they have been asked, and practice it. Because in the main exam, you are not going to get those questions directly. Some questions be there in and around the economy, social issue like this. So whatever preparation I'm doing for the essay and ARD, this also helps in English also. For writing English also, I used to follow like simple sentences, uh, doing minimum mistake. So Grammarly helps. Grammarly apps. If you, whatever you are writing, you can ask Grammarly, see what are the errors, especially grammatical errors, and what are sentence is becoming complex. So those things I used to follow it. So for this English part, I used to focus on this practice a few questions before the exam also. This helps me be in right directions so that whatever the missing point is there. Precise also same seems to follow it some paragraph. From the newspaper, you see some articles, then you write it by yourself. So then you check it the Grammarly. So those are the simple things I used to this follow it. Um, for the other part, there's a yes and ARD, there is a 50 marks for the descriptive. So again, learning in depth helps in writing the descriptive. Once you learn the in depth, and you can summarize in your own mind, rather than remembering the whole questions before the exam. You can remember concepts of different part of the ESA and ARD, and then you can think what are the things I can write. So like just before writing a descriptive, you can write what should be in the main body part, what are the questions that has been asked, what will be the introduction part, what will be the conclusion part, and then you frame and then keep writing. So and try to minimize less error and type it as fast as possible. So for the 600 words questions, so I used to target 500 to 500 plus. Some questions in NABARD becomes difficult to answer. Also, some descriptive husbandry or soil science. I used to write whatever content that I have read and I can adjust it. And then I keep it at that and complete the question paper. If time permits, I come back and see what are the other things I can add. So those are the exam strategy I used to follow, running in depth and then think about what are the things that I can include in this question as per the need of the questions. So this was the
Okay.
strategy. So descriptive is a very crucial part to get in the selection. So I believe we should focus more on time on this. If we
How have you prepared for your non-merit section? What was the
hello.
strategy for that?
Yeah, for the non-merit section, as I was comfortable with this section actually. I was not much worrying about the section. So whatever the exam I have given, so I was easily clearing the non-merit section. So before the exam, I used to just give one or two mocks and then complete the exam. I just to focus on how to clear the part, the qualifying part. So this was basic strategy, nothing much because I was being able to clear those part easily.
What is your
Okay.
strategy for the non-merit section?
Okay, for the non-merit sections, like I was comfortable with the non-merit section, like QRE part. And for NABARD, you need to just
Mm.
qualify. I was not devoting much time actually, just exam or 1 week exam before the exam. I used to see major concept of the quant or major concept of some reasoning part. And then for the English part also, yeah, I used to see what are the like RC part and all what are the questions, how to attempt it, one or two mocks maybe, and that's it. So not much devoting time because I was comfortable on that.
Okay, so with this, we have summarized the entire strategy for the phase one and phase two exam. One more question I want to ask you here related to your phase one and phase two strategy is how have you attempted your paper in the real exam? How many questions did you attempt and which section you used to pick up first? Because in all your four attempts, you have cleared the phase one exam and the phase two exam. So, how have you managed to write or attempt the paper? How many questions you used to attempt?
Yeah, so in 2024, I didn't actually get through phase two, so I didn't
Okay,
qualify for that. But the
okay,
rest of the three times, I got qualified the phase two. So phase one, for the phase one, so if you see the trends of the last 3 to 4 years, you see if you could score 50 plus or 55 plus, then you will get through the phase one for the merit section. Mention about my phase one clear strategy and phase two. So last last four attempts in 2025, I didn't get through the phase two, so I didn't qualify that. Missed by 2 marks. And so rest of the time I used to clear the cutoff. So strategy was simple in phase one. If you see the previous year's trends, so if you clear, if you can score 55 plus, then you sure get through the uh, mains exam phase two. So my strategy was there. Whatever the questions you know definitely in the ESI and ARD part and GA part, you attempt it. For the GA, some questions are very critical. Sometimes they ask out of the box question from the RBI circular and all. So whenever those types of questions are being asked, I used to skip if I don't know it. So in GA, I used to target 10 marks. In ESI, try to target 25 plus, there were 30. So if you get those marks in ESI 25 plus, and in the GA section, if you get two to three, sorry, up to 10 marks, then you will easily get to the phase one. So this was my strategy based on this. If the question papers are easy, then I can score 30 plus also. That is a different thing. But focus is on 25 plus, and then for the GA section, you focus on getting 10, 10 plus, 12 like this. So this was this. And for the phase two, first paper is English. So in the descriptive tab, I used to attempt all the questions. This was the strategy for the phase one. And this again MCQ, that is for the phase two, ES and ERD. So for the to get whatever the questions that I definitely know. So out of the 50, if I can score 40, so that was my target. But definitely no. So some paragraph questions were difficult. Sometimes they ask questions were out of the box. Maybe I was not aware of the topic. Then I skip it. So MCQ part definitely play a major role. Then again, the descriptive part, you have to attempt all the questions. Without attempting those questions, it will be very difficult for getting marks. So I used to follow that, attempting all questions. Even if one question, if it's very difficult, then try to give at least 50%, 60% of the word limit, or you can write something which you have read throughout your journey. So this was my overall strategy for the phase one and phase two.
okay. So we have discussed in detail about your phase one and phase two strategy. Let's talk about the interview part. So since you have appeared in the interviews in previous attempts also, so there is a change. Like earlier, the interviews used to happen in the online mode, and this year they were in the offline mode. So how was your experience different from the previous attempts? Which one is better, like the online mode or the offline mode? And how have you prepared for your interview?
Yeah. So for the interview, as I was mainly focused on my biodata part, my work experiences. In different mock interview, also several interview panelist has suggested me to prepare in depth about my biodata, my work experience, because these things are going to be asked in the main interview. And this happened with me. They asked mainly about my biodata. Then they linked with the NABARD current events, which is being implemented, different projects, different schemes from the different departments. Those are the things they asked me. And I prepared from the NABARD annual report mainly, and then NABARD website also. So this was my strategy, mainly focusing on the biodata. As I appeared the three interviews for the last 4 years. Earlier, like this year, it was offline interview, face to face. I believe that offline interviews are better. Actually, you can talk in a better way because of the communication barrier which may happen due to internet connectivity and all, and this may hamper your score also if they were unable to hear you properly, or maybe you are not able to hear from their side, then may risk your final score. So offline interviews nullify those things, and it helps me give better view of myself. So I can talk freely. I can give more examples, so without any interruptions. So yeah, offline interviews was better this time also. In online interview, I do not face any kind of audio issue, but I believe that offline interview is actually offline interview. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Sumit. So I think you have summarized your entire journey in a nice enough manner. So would you like to say some parting words to the aspirants who are still preparing for this exam?
Look, one thing is that if you're preparing for NABARD like body, so they work in the rural areas and see what are the works that NABARD does. You can see their website or you can see their annual report especially. See what are the NABARD works. This helps you understand about the organizations and prepare in that directions. So and then for preparation part, follow these strategies like how can you complete the syllabus fast, studying in depth first so that you know the syllabus contents before the exam, and then you can give mocks regularly so that it revises your own knowledge and challenges your own concept. And because in exam there are many concepts around which may not be directly from what you are studying, but it is always linked to the syllabus. So understanding the syllabus first, understanding the organization.
You actually were
Hello.
talking about understanding the organization better.
Yeah. So understanding the organizations plays a major role to know what type of questions they will ask you, even for the interview also. So this is the first step. Then see the syllabus, see previous 5 to 6 years questions. What are the things they are asking it? Do not overthink of that. This syllabus is very vast. This syllabus is unable to complete within 1 or 2 months. Follow a strategic approach, like what are the topics that you need to understand in depth first, and also the some subjects like regularly reading newspapers and the PIBs will help you to cover most of the ESI syllabus. Because ESI, if you see questions that ask related to schemes, which is now currently happening for the last 5 to 6 months, GA part like what are the happenings in India, like context to the rural development in the last 3 to 4 months. Those are most important things before the exam. So we can focus on those things. This will cover your ESI and GA part. And then for the ARD part, first try to cover all the concepts before the exam. Then give mock. See what are the deficiencies you have. What are which chapter you need to get more time. So then you focus on the. This way will help to cover the syllabus, revise it along with the mocks, and then you will prepare for the prelims fast. Between these also, if we can give mocks for the descriptive also, so that your hands are up to the mark for typing it. So before exam you should type, otherwise you may stuck in the main exam, you are not able to say, your fingers are getting stuck. So this happens because the pressure time, with limited time this happens. So practicing the descriptive is very crucial. Once you hand to it, so where whatever thinking, and you can also write it, so it is a simultaneous work. And I believe that with practice and understanding the topic, it will be easier for the writing descriptive. Similar for the English also, English plays a major role. So practicing it, understanding how to write it, it's a very major role, major steps. So I believe with this comprehensive approach, most of the syllabus will be completed before the real exam, and then it will be easier for the cracking the exam for both the phases actually. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, Sumit, for giving us your time and for explaining your the insights of your journey so beautifully. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best for your future journey in NABARD.
Thank you. Thank you, EduTap. And also the mock interview I attended to the EduTap. It was very good. It was professional. Interview panelist has given very good feedback on this. I worked on that. What are the things that I need to study? What are the things I am lacking? This is helpful because interview stage also a very critical stage for getting selection in the
Yeah.
final list. Yeah. So thank you, EduTap and the team for giving this opportunity to talk with students and also giving the mock interview opportunity so that I can prepare better of myself. Yeah, thank you all. Thank you, team.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much.